Hey, what's up, family? Welcome to another installment of Metaphysics on Your Mind. And I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I've got some scriptures up here that we're just going to kind of run through. And then in the second part of this installment, we're going to try give a trial run of meditation, okay? And then we're gonna, basically, I'm not gonna do a lot of elaborating on these, but some of that we will. But let's just run through some of these verses and just kind of vibe. Remember, we're thinking as much as possible metaphorically, symbolically, but it's about real things. Okay, so first, we'll come back to these top three because we've already gone over those in the prior installations. Remember Matthew 6:25 talking about take no thought, take no thought. Why do you take thought? You can't add to your own stature with your thought. Mark 13:32-37 when it talked about watching. Remember, we talked about watching your thoughts, which were the sheep, and of course the metaphor of the good shepherd. And then Luke 11:52, the last installment, we talked about where Jesus was speaking to the religious leaders, admonishing them that you take away the key of knowledge, right? So we're going to jump down to Genesis 6:3, and then we'll kind of double back to these three. And then we're gonna try do a little trial run. Cool? All right. So Genesis 6:3. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Okay. So in that particular verse, God is acknowledging that man is also flesh. Remember, we talked about the emotional nature, the physical nature, the intellectual nature being part of the flesh, and the spiritual nature, as symbolized by the right hemisphere, is that which is connected to God. So that's an acknowledgement that, hey, we're on a bicycle built for two. Okay. Let's jump down to Genesis 9:5. And again, we're just going to kind of run through these. We'll come back to them in maybe the follow-up installment and get a little bit more detail. But let's just groove with this and see where we end up. Genesis 9:5. And this is basically God and Noah. God is speaking to Noah. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man. At the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Okay? So God is saying to Noah, I require the blood of your lives. So when we're talking about entering in this case, we're going to talk about entering into meditation. There's a sacrifice that's being made to get into meditation. In other words, there's a sacrifice of the physical self. And we'll go over how that's accomplished in meditation. So let's run to the next one. This is Psalms 51, 5 and 6. Don't worry about trying to interpret all this. We're getting all this in, and we're laying some tracks, and we'll come back to these. Okay. So Psalm 51, 5 and 6. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Okay, so that's David of the, David of the Psalms, basically saying that, hey, and we're going to jump to this real quick. Remember we said that the sun, the ecliptic, is a sine wave. A sine wave is this orange line. Well, and remember we said that the name of the moon goddess in Babylon, her name was Sin. And then we have sine as in S-I-N-E, sine wave. And remember we said that it is said that when souls come to incarnate, they come through the Tropic of Cancer. And when souls depart the body, they leave through the Tropic of Capricorn, right? Since we have tropical astrology. So the sine wave runs through the tropics. You can see the orange line. So sine, S-I-N-E, if this is where the quote unquote spirit man, the soul, is from the sine wave, meaning that your physical body is born of the signs, S-I-G-N-S, S-I-N-E, and then the Babylonian goddess S-I-N, representing the moon, which of course represents the emotions. So being born of sin is basically saying that you're born with an emotional nature. As we talked about in prior installments, is where the problems come from for us. So born in sin is just that you're born with an emotional nature, and you're given a body, which includes the emotional nature, via the sine wave, the movement of the heavens. That's where your body comes from. Born of sin or the sign, under the signs. Okay, let's jump to the next one. You don't have to try to memorize this stuff. We'll come back to it. And then we're going to go to Psalms 51, 16, and 17. And this is David again with the Lord, with God. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else I would give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. O God, thou wilt not despise. So in other words, what's being said is, God's not looking for you to sacrifice some animal, okay? God doesn't get off on sacrificing real animals. That's a literalization, which is we talked about in the last installment, is where you run into trouble. The sacrifices of the physical nature, of the physical body symbolically. God requires your blood. God requires it again in this verse when it says a broken spirit. It doesn't mean the actual spirit of a man. It's talking about the ego, the spirited person, the willful person. That has to be humbled. That has to be sacrificed. And that's what it's referring to, not a literal sacrifice of a sheep or a goat or a cattle or whatever. Remember, this is all internal, but the story is playing it out externally. Let's go to the next one. Mark 4, 11 and 12. Mark. Okay. And so this is, where are we at? Okay. So this is Christ. And he said unto them, this is Christ to the disciples, unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God. But unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables. So what is Christ talking about unto them that are without? Who's without? Well, the ones without would be the ones that don't enter in. You take away the key of knowledge by not entering in yourself. Okay? So if you're not entering in yourself, you're without, you're on the outside. And so for those on the outside, all these things are done in parables, okay? The understanding is going to be given to you when you go within. If you stay without, it's a story, a parable, or however you want to look at it. Let's jump down to Matthew 6:22 through 23. Matthew 6:22 and 23. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. So in other words, the single eye represented, you've seen it, I'm sure, in many places, including like the one-eyed cyclops on the forehead. That's a symbol of the so-called third eye. Some would say it's actually the first eye because it's the inward eye. Okay, so this scripture is saying that's where the light of the body is. We're going to read another scripture that's going to clarify a little bit more of what this light of the body being the eye, what's that all about, okay? But that's Matthew 6:22. The light of the body is the eye. You've heard the term, third eye, okay? It's the inward eye. Genesis 32:30. Genesis 32:30. Okay, here we go. And this is Jacob that we're speaking about. And what was Jacob? What was, well, we won't even get into that yet. Let's go to 32:30. And Jacob called the name of the place Pineal, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. So Jacob says that there's a place named pineal. In your brain, there is a gland called the pineal gland. You don't hear about it much, but this is connected to the light of the body, that's the eye. What meditation does is stimulate the pineal, which, for those who know, the pineal produces melatonin. It has to do with the sleep cycles, okay? But it does a whole lot more than that. But that's what Jacob's saying. He's gone to a place called pineal. So remember, we said all of this is happening within the mind. So we're going to get into it further on, but there's a pineal gland, and then there's another one called, you've heard of, the pituitary gland. Those are two master glands, okay? But this one is a special one, which we're going to devote probably a whole installment to, because that's where Jacob saw God face to face. And there are other scriptures that say that no one has ever seen God face to face. No one has seen the face of God. Well, the pineal itself means God's face, okay? So we'll come back to that one. And the last is Matthew 6:5 through 8. And I wrote these up here, so if anybody wants to dig into them, at your leisure, so be it. Okay, Matthew 6:5 through 8. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily, verily, I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut the door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. So in that passage, okay, Jesus Christ is saying, you don't have to speak words. You don't have to ask the Father for what the Father already knows that you need. So that's where we kind of, we're going to head into the entering in part. I'm going to do a little quick, brief demo for those who may or, maybe have never attempted to meditate. We're going to do that. And then the latter part of this is going to be some meditational music that can help. Because what we're trying to do, just so you know what's happening, when you're going into meditation, what is called the watching or the no thought meditation. Remember, take no thought, watch. What you're doing is trying to slow down the activity of the mind. So in other words, you sit comfortably somewhere so that you're ceasing physical activity. The next level is thinking, which is, your thoughts are going to go all over the place. So you're trying to go from this outer ring of activity past thinking, and the closest to where we need to go is actually feeling. And the trick is not to get engaged in the thinking and feeling activity and try to get to this still point, the bullseye, that's the spirit. That's the real you, but you have to get past the physical to get to the real you. And what did it say? No man can serve two masters. You have to shut down one side so that the other side can open up. In other words, you have to shut down the left hemisphere or the thinking, emotional self temporarily, so that the right hemisphere, which is where the spiritual dimension exists, so that comes to into play, put it that way. Because when you're in one, you're not in the other, right? You can't be in the garden and also be in the lower mind, right? They're two different places. And what you'll find is that in normal activity, we're in what's called beta. Beta is 26 cycles per second. The idea with meditation, as you're trying to get into the center, is that these cycles per second will drop as you rise in meditation. So you go from beta, 26 cycles, up to alpha, 14 cycles, up to theta, 8 cycles, up to delta, 4 cycles. So in other words, you leave the ground, you rise to meet, and this is symbolic, but it's in the book, you rise to meet Jesus in the air. That means the Christ mind, the mind that has risen above the physical self, and you get touched by the Spirit, okay? Music can help you go from beta to the right music, can get you from beta to alpha, just listening to music and being calm. But to get into that still point, you've got to even go beyond the music into the stillness. But the music, I find, can really help people to at least not struggle. In the early stages of meditation, you can use the music to kind of help you, move up the ladder, so to speak. Okay, so we're going to give it a quick one. What you're going to do is basically, this is the watching or the no thought meditation. So unlike maybe some other meditations you've heard about, where they tell you to visualize this or visualize, this color or visualize a cloud, you're not doing any of that, because we're told to take no thought and to watch, because you're going to have natural mental activities that are happening. The idea with this meditation is you do nothing, okay? You're sitting in stillness. So all you need to do, you can sit in a chair, you can sit on the ground, it doesn't matter. It's helpful to have your back straight, But the idea is all you need to do, and some people, you'll see people sitting in the lotus position or just with their hand, wherever's comfortable. There's no set way to do this. And that's one reason why I don't want to get too much into details, because everyone is different, okay? So you're just trying to get comfortable, sit. It doesn't necessarily have to be a quiet place, but it helps. And again, you can use music for that. But the idea is that you're getting beyond the physical. So when you close your eyes, which begins the process of the pineal, just like at night when you're sleeping, secreting melatonin. When you close your eyes and you go within, you're going within yourself, okay? Which some people may not have ever spent this much time with themselves, when you're conscious, not sleeping. The idea is not to go to sleep. The idea is to be fully conscious, but from within. So you close your eyes, you can focus on your breathing to kind of get you going, and that slows the mind. You can hold your breath for 10 seconds, and that will actually help to slow the mind activity down. But you'll see the mental activity, and you'll also see, some other things depending upon your inner self, because we're all different. Okay, so stick around if you're interested. Right after this, we have a 15-minute musical kind of meditation that has a little, I don't like to use the word guided meditation, because you're going to teach yourself, because everyone is unique, but there's some spoken word in it that I believe can be helpful, especially if you've never really attempted to quiet your mind in a meditation where you're not focusing on trying to do something. You're doing nothing. You're basically it's like a car. If the engine's revving, but it's in neutral, the car's not moving. That's where you want to be. While all this chaos is going on around you, you're unmoved. All right? Thank you so much, and hopefully you get something out of this meditation. Thank you.
Sitting comfortably. In a chair, on the floor, on the grass. Just sitting comfortably. Close your eyes. And just breathe. Watching your thoughts. You are not identifying with them. Your thoughts. You are just watching them. You are not engaging focusing on your breathing, slowing down your mind. Watching your thoughts. Not naming them, not judging them, just watching. Within your mind, you are looking straight ahead. Passing thoughts trying to get your attention, trying to engage you. You just let them go by. You are in a state of neutral. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, swirling all around you. Swirling around you and through you. You are in neutral. Unmoved. Just watching. You see the patterns of energy swirling around you within your mind. You are relaxed. Unengaged. Floating free, thinking of nothing. thoughts, feelings, sensations. You are watching, and you are unmoved. Relaxed within yourself. Thoughts keep coming. Trying to get your attention. Trying to engage you. But you are unmoved. You are floating free within yourself. You are aware. You are watching. And you are unmoved. You are separate from your thoughts. You are just aware. You identify with no thing. You are just aware. You are the observer. Consciousness. Unmoved by the activities of the mind. Just watching. find yourself entangling with a thought, gently bring yourself back to the center, back to neutral. Just watch it. You are the watcher. Watching within yourself. Not identifying, not remembering, not associating. Just watching.